thelandofisrael.com, and Israel National TV present Ari Abramowitz and Jeremy Gimpel. Live from the heart of Israel, it's Tuesday Night Live in Jerusalem.
Shalom and welcome to Tuesday Night Live in Jerusalem. Now, many of you know the joke about the American Jew on the high holidays runs up to the synagogue and says to the guard, I need to run in there. I have a message I need to tell someone. I'm not staying. I just need to run in there. And the guard says, all right, you can go in, but if I catch you praying, I'm going to throw you out. And literally, that's the situation right now on the Temple Mount. That's what we're facing.
Now, if we really want to know about the Temple Mount and we want to know about the Third Temple, there's one man that's actually the world's expert on the Third Temple. And that's what tonight's show is all about. It's all about reclaiming our holy sites, the holiest site in the entire world, not just to the Jewish people, to the non-Jewish world. Objectively, the holiest site in the entire world is the Temple Mount. And there's a man here that's an expert about the Third Temple. And we're here tonight to learn because Ari and I, we don't know anything. We're only here to expose you all to the rabbis of Jerusalem. And please welcome Rabbi Chaim Richman of the Temple Institute. That was on camera. They saw it. I got a hug. That's it.
All right, Rabbi, let's just start off with the basics. I tried to touch on it, but I don't know if I really got to the deep roots of what's the purpose? Is it just a big synagogue that everybody comes to? Why do we need a temple?
I mean, we have Judaism. It's so beautiful. We have synagogues, we have prayers, we have all this beautiful life of Judaism, and you're like trying to rock the boat, and I don't like it. When Judaism is so beautiful already, Rabbi, why are you trying to ruin our Jewish lives?
I have some misunderstanding here. Did you guys invite me here to pick a fight? Is that what this is all about?
We're asking it like it is so you can tell the world the answers of questions that they're all thinking.
So in order to really discuss the relevance of the temple, you have to go back a little bit and re-examine the question and ask, is Judaism relevant? So therefore we have to define Judaism, we have to define Jewish destiny, Jewish identification, and the mission of the Jewish people. And what it means to be Jewish means to be the vehicle to sanctify God's name in the world, then that's what Judaism is really all about. So we look in the Torah and we find that the whole purpose that God created the world in the first place, according to Chazal, according to our sages, according to our understanding of the purpose of creation, it was because God, even though He has tremendous celestial heights and He exists on the highest levels of the cosmos, He loves this world, He loves this lowly world. And our sages call that God wanted an abode in this world, dira b'tachtonim. And the embodiment of this idea of God having a place to live in this world is the concept of the Holy Temple. And you know what the problem here is? The problem is that, Judaism is very beautiful. And the Jewish people have accomplished so much in this world and have brought so much light into the world. But you know what? We're totally lost without the Holy Temple. If you think that we're something now, you should see what we would be with the Holy Temple. And the problem is that there's been so much distance, there's been so much time that has elapsed since the last temple that, we're used to the situation. We think that this is normal. And to the extent that a lot of people, when they hear people talking about building the temple, they think this is like crazy. What do you want to do something like that for? Why is it relevant? But the real question is, well, what is relevant altogether about Judaism? And if you really want to talk about the whole structure of our faith, the whole structure of Torah, the whole structure of the Jewish people's mission to sanctify God, to bring the light of God into the world, well, He established that that's the place that He chose, unlike any other place in the whole world, the one place on earth to rest His name. All the prophets of Israel tell us, every single one without exception, that the time is going to come, that the temple is going to be rebuilt. That's the place God says that He's going to grant peace from that place. That's the place that is going to be the focal point, once again, of the spiritual energy of all mankind. That's the place that's going to unite all of humanity. And the truth is, when you talk about the relevancy of Judaism, with all due respect, we have 613 commandments that we accepted upon ourselves, the covenant of Sinai. There's 202 of them that are completely dependent on the Holy Temple for their fulfillment. So The Judaism that we practice today is really a skeleton of itself without the Holy Temple. But the real concept here is the mentality that we've developed throughout the long and bitter and sometimes not so bitter exile, where we've come to the place now where, like you say, it's like rocking the boat. It's like something that people can't really relate to anymore because we're coming to it from this whole, modern Western non-Jewish mindset.
But Rabbi, here, let's come from a Jewish mindset, because there's a Rashi in Masechet Sukkah, and it's ironic that I'm telling you this because you're the one that showed me these sources.
What is that they say about the devil cites scripture?
But I don't understand. So there's Rashi Masechet Sukkah, there's all of these mystical writings that say that the temple is going to fall out of the sky. Why are you trying to build it when it specifically says that the temple is going to fall out of the sky?
How come you don't wait for your sukkah to fall down from the sky? Okay, you got a Rashi on your side. Whoa, I'm shaking. We're going to talk about Rashi. I love Rashi just as much as you, but I want to ask you a question. Why are we so excited about the fact, Rashi says it's going to fall down from the sky? Let me ask you honestly, before we examine Rashi, all right, does that seem to you to be a normative Jewish concept? Can you find me a parallel anywhere in the whole Holy Torah of an idea of a building of several million tons, it must be much more than that, falling down from the sky? Obviously not, because you know that the entire theme of Torah Judaism is action-oriented. Everything about the Torah is about our doing something. God commands and we fulfill. There's no other mitzvah in the Torah that I know of, unless you can think of one, where you're waiting for God to fulfill it. Yes, Rashi does say that. And if you look, for example, at the commentary of Rabbi Steinsaltz in his edition on the page, he'll tell you, as other commentaries, that the reason that Rashi says that in that particular very complicated sugya over there in Masechet Sukkah, where it's talking about the temple being built at night and about Motzei Yom Tov and different issues, Rashi kind of painted himself into a corner. And Rabbi Steinsaltz, for example, comments that the only way that he was able to get out of the corner, this is all very erudite logic over there, was to say something like that. But you have to understand that there's a positive commandment in the Torah, and all of the codifiers agree with this. And for example, the language of Maimonides, the great Rambam, who says, "Mitzvah taseh lasot bayit lashem." This is how he begins his laws of the chosen house. It is a positive commandment to establish the house for God. And Rashi can't possibly uproot one of the mitzvot of the Torah. That's not his job. And besides all that, I got something else to tell you, okay? Rashi, whose whole goal is to be as simplistic as possible and to explain everything, you know that in the conclusion of the book of Ezekiel, the latter chapters of the book of Ezekiel, there are incredible visions there about the third temple. That's another story altogether, how we understand Ezekiel's vision of the third temple. But God says, "Son of man, I want you to go and I want you to measure exactly what you're seeing." And there are very, very detailed descriptions there of the measurement of the Beit HaMikdash. And Rashi says, right there, on one of the verses, the reason that Ezekiel is being shown all this and being told to measure is so that when the time comes, we will know exactly how to build it. Rashi, the same Rashi, is contradicting himself in Masechet Sukkah. Something is going on here.
What can Jews now do today to not only engender a yearning for it and feelings for the Beit HaMikdash, but what can we really do to build it? I took a collection of earrings, but really, what can we do?
The problem with the collection is
it is hekdesh,
you have to say now. You give it not. You can't let the girls get away with that. Oh, when it's all built, I'll give you my jewelry. We don't need it after it's built. We need it to build it. Seriously, the idea is. I was being serious. The idea is, there's a few things going on. Obviously, we need a spiritual revolution. We need an educational revolution, which happily is so much evident that it's going on now. Look at the past few years. Look at the past decade, the past 20 years. Years ago, there were such a small handful of people that were talking about the building of the temple, that were going on to the Temple Mount. They were considered to be so marginal. And now, Jews from all streams of orthodoxy are going to the Temple Mount, are expressing tremendous identification with the concept of the Holy Temple. They're doing as much as they can. And again, you have to understand what is the basic, bottom line of the whole concept of what it means to be a Jew in this world. It's about tikkun, it's about rectification, it's about action, it's about doing things. It's not about sitting in an armchair. It's about causing a change. And so here's the thing, some people say, well, I pray for the temple every day. The problem with that is that if you're really praying for something, you have to want it to happen.
But Rabbi, what if people think...
Wait. You can't pray for something if you don't really want it to happen.
No, but what if I think that when the Mashiach comes, then he's going to build the temple. Because that's a big myth. A lot of people think that. What do you say to that? When the Mashiach comes, he's going to build the temple and we don't have to.
You know what? If the Mashiach comes, and let me change that, when the Mashiach comes, if he builds the temple, I'll be so satisfied, I'll be perfectly happy. The problem is, there is such a scenario as the Mashiach coming and building the temple, but there's also a scenario which was highly considered probable by our sages, and I'm trying to capsulize a lot of information very succinctly. Another scenario that was considered highly probable by our sages is that first the Holy Temple is rebuilt, and then the Mashiach appears. This is based on a number of verses in the Torah as well. This is the opinion of the sages of the Jerusalem Talmud. And the fact is, a lot of people, in order to really get into this idea and understand it properly, we have to define what Mashiach is, and that's a scary thing, because then we're going to find out that a lot of people have some very non-Jewish ideas about who and what Mashiach actually is. The fact is, there's not one mitzvah in the Torah, and this is what the Rambam writes, there's not one mitzvah in the Torah that is dependent upon, or the job, or the role of Mashiach to do. All of the commandments of the Torah are for the whole Jewish people to fulfill, and the building of the Holy Temple is no exception. It's a mitzvah, a commandment on the tzibor, on the entire congregation of Israel.
So, the last question, and I guess the most important question, you are the director of the International Department of the Temple Institute. You're a hero in front of millions and millions of people across the world. Rabbi, I know who you are. You can't trick me. I know who you are. And the question we all know now, the Temple Institute right here, you guys see it? What can people do that want to be involved? What can they do? What should they do? I mean, some people are in America, some people are in Israel. What should we do to help?
So again, like I started to say, you know, prayer is such a holy concept in Torah, and I'm not minimizing it, because it's a very primal force for the Jewish people. But you really have to believe that this is what you want in order for you to pray sincerely. Then there are some people that say, you know, we learn Torah, and there's an expression that God should consider it ki'ilu, like we're really bringing a korban. You know, if I'm learning something, God should consider it, you know, my hands are tied, but I want to. Here again, our sages tell us the highest form of learning, the highest level of learning Torah is Torah that is on the condition of bringing us to action. So there are different types of action. First of all, again, and I wish we had more time to talk about exactly the principle behind the work of the Temple Institute, one of the major focal points being the creation of the vessels. Why? What's the point of making these vessels? The point is that this is actually, according to Jewish law, the first stage of building the temple itself. We may have a temporary obstacle, it may be a political obstacle, which doesn't interest me at all, in the actual physical construction of the temple at this moment or at this second. But by beginning the process, at least, of creating that part of the temple that we are able to do, this is already bringing some of the light of the temple into the world. And that, too, is something that is the responsibility not of one organization or a number of people or particularly wealthy people, but of the entire congregation of Israel. So that's one thing. Another idea is, as we all know, the breakdown of the myth of Jews not being able to go to the Temple Mount. It's so important for people to understand that because generations have neglected the Temple Mount, we have had a terrible setback. And this is the true concept of the exile of the Shekhinah. This is the true desecration of the name of God, the situation on the Temple Mount today. This is the place that God wants us to be in. This is the place that God wants to see us in. Of course, we're talking about going with knowledgeable rabbis and taking all of the important preparations and precautions according to Jewish law, and not, God forbid, treading on any area that's actually within the sanctified courtyard. But the fact is, we can get very close. It's a mitzvah to go there. It's a mitzvah to show awe and reverence of the Temple Mount properly by being there and acting in a certain way. A lot of people think that, you know, there's a commandment of Mora Mikdash, to show awe, to show proper reverence for the Temple Mount. And people think that means you don't go to the Temple Mount, but the Rambam tells us it means that you go there and you act a certain way. And this has a tremendous power when God sees that the Jewish people haven't given up hope, that it means something to us, when our enemies see that there's still a few Jews that care about the honor of the name of heaven, the name of the God of Israel. And this is a tremendously important and revolutionary idea. So I think that what I would encourage every person to investigate and to really think about is considering that our entire purpose in this world is action, and to do something for the sake of the God of Israel. What is my particular role in this entire equation? Because the temple is not going to come down from heaven And it's not going to happen unless every single Jew decides, you know what, enough is enough, the time has come. Why in the world should God do anything for us if we don't even show him a sign of life?
Rabbi, thank you so much for being with us today. Just a quick idea, the temple falling out of the sky, the temple is a semel. It's a sign of a new era. It's a sign of the redemption. The temple is just a sign, and when the temple is going to fall out of the sky, it means that our consciousness will be different. We will be living with a different awareness, and when the entire Jewish people live with a redemptive mindset, the temple will obviously be built because we'll all want to build it. So right now, the job of every Jew in the world is to bring it home and make everyone join the mission of finally bringing this final redemption. And when every Jew is on board and every Jew knows what the mission is, then of course the temple will fall out of the sky because it's all up here. If we can change the hearts and minds of the people of Israel, we will build the third temple. Shalom from Jerusalem.
Did